Okay, we're back with another form check, and this time someone with the straddle planche, they've just got it, they're progressing with it and just want to get a form check of how they're doing. So let's run this back and play it through. So we're on the parallettes here, we elevate our feet, lean forward, and we hold as long as we can and we're out. So that was a good hold for just starting to get used to the straddle planche. So what I like about this is actually how I enter in the straddle planche, which is not to say it's the best way, but this is how I do it and this is how I've learned to do it. But you also want to work on different ways of entering into the planche because this is going to help you overall with your form. So the way I do it and the way this guy's doing it, which is the same, is to do a kind of pike straddle planche. And I'm going to have a video coming later this week, guys, that's going to explain all of this for the straddle planche. So if you're having problems with the straddle planche, you're going to want to watch that video. But anyway, this is how I enter into the straddle planche. So I kind of pike my hips a little bit, elevate my feet off the floor, as you can see, and then I start leaning forward until I start getting into that straddle planche position. Then once you start getting here, this is where you want to start activating your glutes. So if I could get the pen tool out, you really want to start squeezing your glutes here, because once you start getting the height with your hips up, you want to start bringing the hips down. So to bring the hips down, as I said before, you want to start leaning forward more. You know, try and keep the protraction as you do so, but then squeeze the glutes. That's going to bring your legs up in line, because if you were squeezing your glutes maximally, then your legs would be like in line here. So what you want to do is lean forward, that's going to bring the hips down, and then squeeze the glutes, that's going to bring your legs up. And if we just play it through a bit more, you can see it's the glute activation. Once you hit straddle planche, you're finally starting to need that glute activation, which you haven't been training prior to this if you've been doing just the advanced tuck and the tuck planche. I'm going to have a full video talking all about this, so you guys watch out for that. But this is what I'm saying. So this is really good for just getting used to the straddle planche, and it's how I learned it, but that's the next step for you. But yeah, good job. Next up, we have Outside Brother 14. He says he can do a 20 to 30 second tuck planche, but is trying to learn the advanced tuck planche. So this one's going to be really useful for those of you that have the tuck planche down, but still struggling with the advanced tuck planche. So let's have a look at this. Let's play this through. So we went from tuck straight into the advanced tuck. It's a bit shaky. Yeah. So despite being able to hold that tuck planche for maybe even 30 seconds, you see how you can still struggle with the next progression because it's a different movement. You need to learn a new way of doing things. You have to work on that hip extension. You know, you should watch my advanced tuck. That's the first step. If you haven't watched my advanced tuck video that is all about how to move your knees into the advanced tuck planche position, watch that video. It's going to give you a load of exercises that solves this specific issue, because as you can see, as you move your knees out, you start getting shaky and can't hold it as well, especially considering you can do the tuck planche for so long. So let's really look at what's going on. If I pause it here, like, your hips are actually looking good. You have a posterior pelvic tilt, which means you have this kind of sad face with the lower back. You look pretty much protracted. It's hard to tell from the lower angle, but you look protracted. Straight arms, of course, which is another tick. I can see the lower body tension. That's why I want to see the calves going, the hamstrings and the glutes as well if I can, but it's mainly the hamstrings in the advanced tuck planche, and the calves that you'll see because you'll be pointing your toes. So that lower body tension is there, which is all good. So really, I think the tuck planche work has served you well, and I don't think you're far off this, because if I play it through, you get in the position, you get in a good position. It's just you're kind of wobbly, and that's going to come from leaning forward a bit more. If I run it back a little bit here, you see how you're wobbling. That's because you have to lean forward more, and you're going to be a little bit less stable because you have less strength in this position, because you brought your knees down. It's extending the length of the lever, so really your body's longer rather than being in a ball where maybe your body's only this long. So that's why, honestly, I'm just going to say watch my advanced tuck video on how to get your knees in the correct position for the advanced tuck planche. I'll link it for any of you that have that has that problem. But yeah, this is looking good. I'll just say do those exercises. Next up we have Nono Bob, hope I'm saying that right, and he was actually in one of the first form check Fridays I think, and he's going to show us both how his advanced tuck is looking and how his front lever is looking. So let's go through and check both of these out, because he says he's made some progress. So he's gone into that tuck planche, got the protraction into the advanced tuck with a solid hold, maybe 3-4 seconds. I think he might say you've had it at that point. I think it was 3 or 4 seconds. From 4 seconds onwards, I start to count like I've got the skill. I just need to work on the duration. But anyway, let's go to the front lever now. So he goes down the progressions. He's working on a low bar, which is easier. I recommend that when you're just learning it. And he holds the advanced tuck front lever for a decent amount of time as well. It looks pretty clean. Let's just go through and just make sure, you know, how the form's looking. That's the point of this series. So I think let's do your form like sort of near the start of the advanced tuck rather than when you get tired, because obviously your form's going to deteriorate as you get tired. So your form here was actually looking pretty good. I think I remember the first one, it was a bit dark in the clip. I'm glad it's daylight now. But yeah, your hips are looking good. Your hips in line with the shoulders, the straight arms, both of those are a tick. Lower body tension, I can tell by the way your legs are like squeezed together here, that's a tick as well. Your legs are like 90 degrees to the ground, also looking good. And I can see you at the start, definitely you're in that protraction. This is better than my advanced tuck when like I started learning it, because I was completely flat, and only now am I getting that protraction because I'm really focused on that. So this is really good. So I'm gonna say, yeah, your form now is looking good. It's like looking where you want it to be. The one thing I'll say, if you can push the protraction more, push the protraction, because it's gonna help and go a long way. Because when you start wanting to do push-ups and presses, trust me, it's gonna help. And quickly, just to finish off, let's go to your advanced tuck front lever, where you drop down into it. Yeah, you hold it here. It's hard to see from the angle because it's up above. I think maybe the hips are a little bit high. It's hard to tell, like if I draw a line here to here, maybe it looks slanted, but could just be the angle of the camera. But anyway, your arms are straight, another tick. Try and pull the back in if you can. If that's just how you do the front lever, that's okay. As long as you're thinking about using your rear delts, which is the muscle right here, rear part of the shoulder, and your upper back, as long as you think about pulling back like this, then it's all good. Even if you round, the idea is that you're thinking about pulling backwards as much as you can to really elevate your body like that. So I'm gonna say keep going with both of these. The form's looking clean, to be honest. Like again, 90-degree angle here, looks good. So let's move on to the next form check. And also, I'm gonna give you confetti too. Like everyone's getting confetti. Great progress, man. Next up we have Gianak79, and he's doing a straddle front lever. So let's see how that's looking. So we're doing it on a high bar, a little bit harder, so you have to raise into it and dropping down. So already that's requiring strength to just drop down. But it's looking clean. It's looking clean. Not gonna lie, he's not even tired. Okay. Hold on. Let me run it back. So let's get to where you're parallel, which you hold for a decent amount of time. Honestly, bit of a hard angle, but I'm gonna say your hips are in line. Yeah, a little bit of a hard angle. If you can, guys, get the angle from side on, or maybe like a little bit diagonal. But yeah, if it from the front lever, side on's really good. But yeah, I'm trying to see your arms look straight. A difficult angle to see. I think everything's in line. Again, we have a little bit of protraction. Again, as long as you're thinking about retracting, you're trying as hard as you can while you're in it to do that. Even if it's rounding, as long as you're thinking about it, then that's all good. It looks like you're in a solid hold, so your lats are engaged, so you're getting that depression and engaging the lats. So it looks good. So there's not really much I can say because of the angle of the camera, but it's looking good, man. Especially because it's a straddle and you're doing it on a high bar. I'm gonna say it's all good. So yeah, keep going with it. Let's move on. Next up, we have another straddle planche attempt. So let's have a look here and see what's going on. So, okay, we got the wide straddle. So this is gonna be for you guys, I guess, that have really good mobility. Like there was a younger kid, I think he's also posted again, so we'll check him out in a bit. But for those of you that have really wide and good mobility, you wanna be careful about a few things. But let's go through. So this is your straddle planche. You can see we've got the wide straddle. Straight arms, it seems. You can see the biceps activated, so just make sure you're really squeezing the triceps to ensure your arms are straight, but they look pretty straight. So the main thing, of course, I'm sure you'll know, is that you're dipping downwards. So the way you're gonna be able to fix this is it's really just gonna be doing kind of like handstand press negatives, straddle handstand press negatives. If you go up into a handstand and then drop it down, you'll be able to hold where you're parallel to the floor and where you're not dipping downwards. So that's what I'll say. That'll be a really good exercise for you, because really all you need to do is actively look at yourself in a mirror, just so you know when your legs are here, and try hold it as long as you can. And over time, you'll be able to slow it down until you can hold, because sometimes this happens to me where it's easier to hold at this angle rather than here, and you just need to kind of drill it into your body that this is where you should be and that's where you're strong at. So that's going to be the main thing, because of course you can see the lower body tension. He's got really good mobility. Just try not to get too used to straddling, because of course the end goal is the full planche. So you want to be doing a lot of movements where you're bringing the legs in a lot and doing like assisted full planche, because we want to get to that full planche. So you don't want to get too used to the wide straddle where you're distributing that weight. So do the handstand press negatives and also work on your full planche position, bringing your legs in. So you want to work on both. So really good. Just a few things to work on, but yeah, everyone today is doing really good. Okay, next we've got an advanced tuck, and this person says they've made some improvements to the advanced tuck. So let's have a look. We're doing it on the floor, quite hard on the floor, and it's a good hold. Yeah, quite hard on the floor. I found it really difficult learning the advanced tuck, even on parallettes, but on the floor, you know, like I was not doing it on the floor, so I had to be using parallettes just to get that extra elevation. Another tip for you guys if you're struggling with the advanced tuck planche. But this guy seems to be coping well with the floor, not gonna lie. So let's go through, check the form. So you can see here first the hips. You can see that little tiniest bit high, but again, I don't really blame you because you're doing this on the floor, so you're trying to get that elevation. So I don't blame you for hips a little high. I think, you know, maybe not worry too much about that. The thing I would focus on is the protraction. If you can work on your protraction exercises to really start getting that solid basis to push off of on the floor, that's going to help you a lot when doing floor planches. I feel like when my protraction is better for floor planches specifically, then it makes it a lot easier. And because protraction is my weakness, it makes sense why I struggle so much with the advanced tuck on the floor. So that's another thing. Straight arms, everyone looking good today with the straight arms, so that's another check. The lower body tension, you can see he's squeezing his legs and pointing the toes, as you can see. I'm not sure, I feel like it might help you if you put your legs down a little bit, because that can help you really release your knees, because you can see your knees are kind of at this angle right now a little bit. I exaggerated it a little bit there, but they're kind of at this angle, but you really want them straight down. So I'd say try it. Try having your legs out here, or maybe even just here a little bit. It might help you bring the knees out a little bit more, just the tiniest bit. But if you feel like this is how it's comfortable for you, I won't say that's wrong, just a suggestion. But honestly, those are the main things I will say. Okay, this one is another advanced tuck planche, and this guy says that he really loves the community here, so thank you for that. Let's go through. He says he made a little bit of progress with it, so let's play it through. And he goes for quite a solid hold. I'm not gonna lie, he's got the music in, I can tell. This guy's ripped as well. And he goes for a second one too. which he holds like a decent amount of time. You know, it wasn't perfect, but like he went for 2 and he was tired. Wow, okay. Let's run it back and pause it about here. So the first thing I want to talk about is you were a little bit wobbly, and that's okay. So like I said in another form check, this is just due to the sort of lack of strength while leaning further forward. So we're doing this excessive lean right here, as you can see. So that's going to be leaning further forward, where the tuck planche, it might be like leaning around here. So don't worry, you're just a little bit unstable because you need to build that strength. So just focus on trying to keep rigid as you can and really putting force into the bars and just holding this tension all throughout the legs. If you hold that tension, really squeeze, it'll keep you a little bit more stable as everything fires to keep you sturdy. If you keep everything sort of loose in the lower body, you're just gonna find your legs moving about a lot. So that's the first thing. Arms, everyone today looking pretty good with the arms. So the protraction, again, hard at this lower angle, but I think it can be a little bit better. Keep working on it. It's not going to be perfect form when you first learn the advanced tuck planche, so don't worry, like mine was like this, if not worse, when I learned my advanced tuck planche. So keep working on the protraction exercises. The knees, of course the knees were wobbling a little bit, but just try and get them back a tiny bit more, maybe here or here. So just try and bring them back a tiny bit more as you build the strength in this. Just try and lean that tiny bit more. That will allow you to bring the knees out, as long as your core is strong enough. And I'm pretty sure if you can get your legs here, I'm pretty sure you can bring them back like a tiny bit. This even might be just because you wobbled a tiny bit. You might even get them in the position. But yeah. That's what I'll say. The lower back's looking good as well. We got the posterior pelvic tilt, so good job. And we're gonna move on to the next form check. So let's see how he's doing. So he's got the protraction, lean into it. Oh, it's pretty nice, and it's a solid hold. And we get to see the front lever too. Honestly, man, you've progressed a lot since the last form check. Look at that. So we have clean lines now. The one thing I'd say, maybe point the toes, keep that lower body tension. It's gonna come in handy, trust me. Keep that lower body tension. So point the toes if you can. It's just a little tweak, but really like this line's pretty clean. You maybe could bring the hips down a bit lower, and again, it's just that lower body tension. I think you're quite strong in it. I think you're able to do it. So yeah, just make sure there's that lower body tension, but really, you're strong, man. Yeah, there's not much to say here. The front lever was clean, so let's move on. Okay, this guy's working on his advanced tuck planche and his last form check, so let's see how he's doing. He's saying this is his best hold yet. So let's play this through from the start. So he's got his parallettes, and he hops into the advanced tuck planche. So that's one of the things I want to come back to. And then he holds it as long as he can. Again, everyone's wobbling a little bit. You notice that? And that's his hold. Okay, let's go back to the hop in. So hopping in, that's one of the ways to enter into the planche. Like I said, there's different ways of doing it. But for the advanced tuck planche, I found it really useful to go from a tuck planche and extend into an advanced tuck planche. And that really helps with activating the correct muscles. So you protract, and then you can bring the knees out and still maintain that protraction and posterior pelvic tilt. Because as you see here, as you try and bring the legs out further, you start contracting the lower back. You see the lower back starts coming inwards like that. You start getting this happy face, which is not what we want, because the advanced tuck, you know, it's hard, no one really likes it, so it makes us sad. So you want a posterior pelvic tilt, which is this kind of sad face. So that's more similar to the tuck planche. So that's why I'm saying maybe try the tuck planche and extending into the advanced tuck planche. But this is an attempt, so the form is never going to be perfect. So that's the main thing. You don't want to start contracting at the lower back. Don't do that. Let the lower back relax, but then contract the abs. That's going to really bring everything downwards. So you got this posterior pelvic tilt. That's the main thing for you, because the legs, they're good. You've got good lower body tension. You've got good leg position. You've got super straight arms. It looks like you've got long limbs as well. So this is really good. Just work on that protraction and the posterior pelvic tilt. Those are the two things for you that you need to work on. And that's going to be it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this Form Check Friday, and if you've missed the other ones, then go check them out here.